Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Garay, flying solo today. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of things, but the one in particular is my own experience. And as some of you may know, I've been in this industry, gosh, January marked 37 years for me, and I've had quite an unusual career. I mean, I did the typical loan officer, grew up cutting loans as an individual loan officer, cut my teeth doing that, back in the day when it was all walking into real estate offices, we didn't even have a pager, nothing like that. We had a fax machine. We were the first company to get a fax machine on our block or in our little community in Vallejo, California. And, just went from there, found myself eventually opening a small brokerage where we had just a handful of loan officers, maybe two or three. And then wound up working for Washington Mutual for a very short time, maybe 6 months, and then Wells Fargo for 3 years. Wonderful experience. I really learned a lot by working with Wells. And then I came back in 2000, the year 2000. I came back to the brokerage space and wound up working for quite a large mortgage brokerage here in Northern California in the Fairfield-Vacaville area. Northern California. They were First Party Financial. They were huge. They were probably one of the biggest mortgage brokers in the country at that time. Now there's huge mortgage brokerages that would dwarf them, but at that time, I think they had about 14 or 1,500 loan officers. So no small organization. They were great. Then the big fat crash came and all that stuff, and wound up, creating Think Big Work Small, which turned into the TBWS Daily, and then it wound up turning into the National Real Estate Post, and doing that for many, many years, and just experiencing the mortgage industry from a completely different standpoint of reporting on it and engaging with really highfalutin muckety mucks, at the highest levels and all that fun stuff, and then getting back, kind of coming full circle 3 years ago, wound up moving on from the National Real Estate Post and connecting with Carl White and Mortgage Marketing Animals and spearheading and hosting the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. And now, over the past year, maybe 18 months, decided to dip back into the mortgage space for various reasons, primarily family-driven reasons, to try and help my kids a little bit and see if I can build something of equity for them so that I can someday go off to pasture and graze, maybe in 4 years, 3 or 4 years. We'll see how that happens. It's a fantasy, but I like to believe it could happen. And what I mean by that is not that it couldn't happen monetarily or anything like that, but I don't know that we can ever really get out of this business. I just don't know. I just know so many people they just don't get out. And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of us. We tend to keep our, hands in it in one way or another for quite some time. And I think a big reason for that is it's who we are. We just become identified with it completely. It's like, this is who I am. I am a mortgage guy or gal. This is what I do. And I live and eat and breathe this. And it's become my life. And I've had amazing times and hard times and all that fun stuff. But where I'm going with all this is that in getting back into the space again, keep in mind, when I stopped originating, it was probably 2008. Something like that, right at the big crash. And then I got back in, about a year and a half ago. So 2022, something like that, late 2022 or 20, I don't know, not that long ago. And so now that I'm back in it, I'm looking at, okay, let's get back in. It's a different time. It's a different way. Things are not entirely different when it comes to getting business, of course, but just the way business flows is different, the new disclosures and all those things. And, there was a little bit of a relearning curve, but not much, more on the technical side or more on the documentation disclosure side of things. But, and I think for the better. I think it's actually easier now than it was back then. But when it comes to digging up some business, it's still pretty much the same. And that process, or the way that gets done, is for the most part, for most of the loan officers out there, high 90 percentiles, it's going to be working with referral partners. And so I'm so blessed to be a part of the Mortgage Marketing Animals and with Carl White, Steve Kiles, right? And to learn this process, and more and equally as important, not just learning the process of generating business, developing relationships, is understanding that there's numbers behind this whole thing. And these numbers, they're dead nuts accurate. Like when you hear Carl White and Steve Kiles talk about how many phone calls you got to make to secure, how many appointments to secure, how many post coffee calls that you're going to be, making, and how many leads are going to equate to how many pre-approvals are going to equate to how many closings. And you can extrapolate it all backwards and say, if I want to close 10 a month, that's going to equal this many realtors that you're going to have to call. And through this process of 12 weeks, at least 12 weeks of trying to get an appointment, and then at least 12 weeks after you've got the appointment to get the deal, their numbers are just astoundingly accurate. And I've lived it now. And just because, I'm a creative guy. I've been doing this a long time, and I appreciate the process and I believe in it 100%. But I still kind of drift my own way a little bit, like, oh, okay, this is true. This is what they say, but I'm going to try this a little bit or that a little bit. And I have been just schooled hard on this to just believe in, just do the system, man. The system's right and it's work, and the numbers are dead accurate, which leads me to the title of this podcast, which was also a daily spark, which is you can't shake a gallon of water out of a 12-ounce cup. You just can't. So here's what I mean by all this is when we as originators decide that, okay, I want to make sure I can close at least, let's call it 10 loans a month on a consistent basis, right? We have to be able to work the numbers backward. And I won't get into all that detail here, but we have to be able to work those numbers backward and determine how many qualified, productive real estate agent partners we need that we have a great relationship with to make that happen, right? And, in all honesty, that's probably going to be about 20 agents or so, something like that, 20, 25 agents, something like that. But these have got to be good agents. So here's where my story goes is having gotten back in and doing some things, and yes, meeting agents and following the plan and talking to agents and getting to know them. But along the way, I wind up picking up another agent here or there that's a good friend or a nice person, and they come in and, maybe something will happen with them. And so then I wind up, having this group of real estate partners that are all wonderful people. And, I call them every week, and I, do the plan and do the Tuesday calls, and we do the Thursday calls, and we do our Monday calls, and we do these things and, achieve some success, and I get the business in the door. And then, by golly, sometimes deals fall out. Well, that's accounted for in the numbers, right? Deals falling out. That's why you got to have a certain amount of deals coming in, because a certain amount fall out. That's just the truth. It's the way it is. And, when deals fall out, it's not your fault. It's who knows what, bad appraisal, bad report, buyers got cold feet, whatever, right? It happens for many, many reasons, but you have to, I've really had such clarity. In fact, this week on, if I go back and look at the group of realtors who, again, are wonderful people. I love them all. They're good friends. But if I really go back and I look and I reevaluate the numbers, like look at the production and see what they got going on. Now, these might have been terrific realtors 2 years ago. They're still terrific realtors, right? They just don't have the business right now. They have their own thing that they have to do. They have their own marketing that they have to learn. They have their own activities that they have to brush up on in order to get the business in the door. But when I spent the time to look at these agents, I realized that out of the 26 or 27 that I'm working on and with, that really there's probably 4 or 5 that are truly what we call qualified, right? That are truly agents that have the capacity to produce, enough lead activity for me on my end to be included in something that we like to call our Focus 40, a group of 40 agents that are giving us at least one closed deal per quarter. Maybe 5 of them, right, out of the 26 or 27 are genuinely agents of capacity, if that makes sense. And it was just a real eye opener. And I kind of went through and backtracked the numbers based on what Carl and Steve teach. And I was like, huh, I'll be god darned. Those guys are right. Like to the penny, like 100% on the screws. And so for me to sit back and go, why is this happening? Why? It was just such an eye opener to go back and, well, let's really evaluate the capacity that my group of agents that I'm working on or with. What do they have? And when you go back and you look and you seek out the numbers, you realize they're just not there. They're not there yet. And so I went through. In fact, that was the early this morning. I went through. This is Tuesday, and so it was. Yesterday was Monday where I had this kind of revelation. And I went through and I just reorganized everything. I took those 20 something agents that just they're wonderful people, and I might get a nibble once in a while from them, but I just kind of took them, didn't take them off the list. I put them into a category that's called nice agents, right? And I'll continue to drip on them. They'll get texts from me and emails and things like that, and I'll stay in touch, right? But when it comes to me rolling up my sleeves and making the calls to develop relationships and ask for the referral business from my agents, I had to go out and find another list. I did, and I did use the mortgage marketing animals, loan officer CRM, the AI CRM, and because we have Retter in there, RETR, and I went in there and I did a really quick search. I just picked a county that's close to me, outside of my local county, but one that's very right next to me, and I put in some pretty high production numbers. I put in at least 10 buy sides in the past 12 months, and I returned a result of about 66, I think, or so agents, which isn't a lot, right? I if in when I work my plan on that, I might expect to pick up three of them, something like that. Maybe four is what's probably realistically going to be. If I get lucky, maybe five or six. But I found 66 or 67 of them, I think it was. And when I looked at their numbers, I was flabbergasted. Remember, they had a minimum of 10 buy sides, and I could see their buy sides and their sell sides. And these were, 66 just spectacular real estate agents who clearly are what we would call whales. I mean, they were just amazing. They're just really, really great. And they've got clearly the capacity, with the book of business that they got, that if I devote my attention to them and I work to try and get an appointment and do my best and have that appointment and make sure I go through the origin story, all the things that we learn in marketing animals that make it so much more effective. And then I'm faithful to continue with the plan and do my follow-ups and check in. Carl always says it comes down to about 16%, about 16% of, the agents that you pursue and wind up having meetings with and all that kind of fun stuff are the ones that really wind up working with you. But that would be a powerhouse 16%. Let me tell you, that would be phenomenal, incredible. That's because based on who those agents are, they've just simply got the capacity, right? So now I'm not trying to shake a gallon of water out of a 12-ounce cup. Now I'm trying to shake a gallon of water out of a gallon jug, right? There's a jug of capacity of there's a gallon jug of capacity now that I'm working on and calling and building relationship with, that's going to provide, that gallon of water that I'm looking for. I hope that all makes sense. But so I, kind of a long way to kind of get to it from sort of the beginnings, but it was just such an eye opener and such a revelation for me to understand that, look, man, you're going to spend time as an originator developing relationships with referral partners. And trust me, that's where most of the business you're going to get in your life and your career, or any of us, is going to come from them. Because you know why? People like homes. They don't like loans. People they wind up with a real estate agent first. It's just the way it is. And you can try and circumvent that all you want. And you may have some sliver of success with it, but you'll never, never be able to capture buyers at the rate that a real estate agent can capture a buyer, because they got houses and that's what people are interested in. But if we're gonna put our effort into that, then Man, we really need to smarten up and listen to these numbers, listen to Carl, listen to Steve. This isn't stuff they've made up. This is years, decades of tracking and evaluating and surveying to where these numbers are god darn right. End of story. Um, we need to focus on agents that have the capacity, man. And so that's where I'm at. I love my 20 or so agents who I've kind of put to the, put over into the side of the into the nice agent category. Put them over there. Love them to death. Great peeps. Hey, they may pop up and get me a deal here and there, and I'm good, right? But for my focused outbound prospecting effort that takes my time, right? Takes my mental energy, my mental time, my physical time. I'm going to really point that at these real estate partners, 60 of them or so that I've yet to meet, right? I've yet to meet. I'm going to point it at those guys for now. And then as I kind of work my way through that, I'm going to find another 50 or 60 and plop them in and keep going until I really do want to get to the 40. I really want to have a focus 40 real estate partners that I'm pals with. We get along. I like them. They like me. They've got a great book of business. I can reciprocate that through a real-time referral program and send business back to them because they're providing me with good business. Um, you know, I really want that because again, here's the numbers. Here's the numbers. And they're no BS. This is reality. You get 40 good agents that can give you a closed loan, a closed transaction, just one a quarter, just one closed loan a quarter, completely within the realm of reality. That's all you need. And 40 of them is not that many, right? I mean, it's pretty easy to have 40 friends and stay in touch with them. And if you're averaging, say, $3,000 a pop on a commission, maybe it's more, maybe it's less. Who knows what it is in your world? And it doesn't even matter. But let's use $3,000 as an average. You get 40 giving you, one closed deal a quarter. That's 160 transactions in a year. That's $480,000 for the year because you're hanging out with 40 cool people, right? That you took the time to find. And that's me, man. That's where I'm going to go. So I was, I have seen the light. And once again, as always with Carl and Steve and the marketing animals, just the way it is. I've seen the light. And again, I've seen it. And I took the time to reevaluate where I was at and what I had. And I've really just made the personal commitment that if I am going to do this for the sake of my kids and try and build something of equity, I got to go down and just do it the right way and do what's being taught because it just simply is the truth. It's the truth. It works only all the time, and that's the way it is. So I don't know if that was helpful. If you're kind of struggling with that, or struggling with realtor relationships, or not getting enough business out of what you got, understand you're just not working with the right peeps, and you might not be applying the right amount of time to them, and maybe not in the right way, in the right method. So I would really encourage you to join us at Loan Officer Breakfast Club. That's loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, Monday through Friday. It's 30 minutes free, absolutely 100% free coaching. We revolve around the daily success plan. People love it, absolutely love it. And or I would engage with the mortgage marketing animals. You can get an appointment with them just by going to dailysuccessplan.com, dailysuccessplan.com. I'm doing it. You should do it too. Hey, reach out to me if you want. Give me a call. I would love to hear from you. You can find me. Trust me. You can hunt me down. Frank Garay. I'm easy to hunt down. Just go to my website, frankgaray.com, and let's have a conversation if you're an originator. Because we got some stuff going on. I got some stuff going on, and maybe you want to be a part of it too. We'll see. All right. You have a great one. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for joining me today on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Remember, all you need to do is, get a gallon jug. Can't shake a gallon of water in a 12-ounce cup. Well, you can out of a gallon jug. So let's go get that. You guys have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.